Good. Hello and welcome to the breakfast. I know you're around, you're alive, and you're well on this Wednesday. Hey, Mikey.
Good morning.
Good morning. My camera, my computer's acting up a little bit. Can you see? Yeah.
I can see you with a delay, unfortunately.
Yeah, yeah, that's better.
Bezek will fix all issues.
I don't know, man. I have fiber and it's just never on top. But it's also, I think, the computer. I think I run too many things. Like I'm trying to do AIs and streaming and like all the heavy lifting, and I just have like a normal Mac. I need to get better hardware, it seems. Let me see where our friend Tomer is, and then we can start cooking. That is the plan.
Check this out. Check this out. And I live in the I live in the mountains. They just installed this like 3-4 months ago.
You don't have any competition for your resources where you're from. Like it's just like,
so I like having 2 internet connections because I'm a trader, right? You know, and I always had 2 internet connections. I have 2 on my phone as well, like 2 different providers. But when I got to this house a few years ago, Hot actually told me that they came and they tried to install it, and then like they told me, oh, the wire's under cement, so actually we cannot install your internet in the new place. That hasn't stopped them from calling every single month for the last 5 years. They call me up, hey, would you like to rejoin Hot? I'm like, I can't. You don't want me. You won't let me. And they're like, oh, we can do it, and then they can't. Yeah, it's.
Hey, Tomer, good morning, GM to you. We're just discussing internet speed in the occupied territories. Nothing major, just like a little, a little, a little way to start the day. You were traveling for a while, Tomer. You just got back. How was your around the world trip?
Oh, wonderful. Denver's conference was amazing. The biggest in the field, outcomes. I loved it.
Mati, how come you don't
Jealous, bro.
travel a lot?
Super jealous. I heard good things about Denver. I've been seeing it all over my feed for the last week. So
I think it's the biggest conference of the year, at least the most exciting one, because a lot of the new things are coming from Denver every year. So we definitely have been spending. We spent the entire week over there. We were a big team and had a few events. So that was a wonderful, wonderful week for us.
What is your I'm curious about, before we get into the details, but like we're talking about events already. Like there's a lot of different opinions about events and the ROI from these events and conferences. You got a lot of these projects that are dropping $100,000 on parties, and no one even remembers that they're throwing the parties. So what's your guys thinking around, like how do you make the most of an event? Like you just went to Denver. Like what was your strategy to not just like have a good time, and obviously everyone likes to have a good time and GM and vibe and meet everyone that you interact with, cartoon characters on X, but there's also needs to be some output. So how do you guys think about that ROI around events specifically?
So there are a few verticals in the crypto industry, and each one of them has different goals while doing events. The B2C companies that have a token, they really need anyone's attention. And one of the best places to get everybody's attention is in those conferences where all the people. So if you're a blockchain, let's say you're layer 1 or layer 2, and you want all the builders in the field to know about you and to try to build something with your testnet before you go live. The conferences are the place to really meet all the developers and get all of them to know you, to understand your unique selling points, and really to see the people behind the blockchain. So for layer 1s and layer 2s, it's a no-brainer. That's the best place to acquire new developers, to work with them, because those infrastructure layers do not attract users by themselves. They need applications that attract users to use their infrastructure. On the other hand, what do you say?
The bomber effect.
Yeah, it's like the cloud, right? AWS sells
bomber from Microsoft.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what did you say?
That viral video of him, like in the 90s or like early 90s, he was just like, developers, and that was like, it just that was one of the first viral videos of the internet. He was like trying to attract people to come and build on Microsoft. If that hadn't happened, Microsoft would seriously not be what it is today. So literally he went nuts, and he would go nuts on purpose on stage to attract people to build on Microsoft. Effective strategy.
Yeah, that's a very effective strategy, and that's the infrastructure strategy. You are not the one who is acquiring the users. If no developer uses your infrastructure, no users will come. And the other verticals are B2B, for example. So a lot of the things you see in a conference are B2B, either payments or settlements or accounting or marketing. We are marketing. And for all the B2Bs, it's also fantastic because you can meet all the other businesses in crypto, and you can meet all the CFOs if you're accounting solution, or all the CMOs if you're a marketing solution, or all the bankers and treasury managers if you're a institutional wallet solution. So a lot of the B2Bs have conferences as their main source of user acquisition, or business acquisition, actually, because it's the place to meet everybody in one place. Oh, I can't hear you.
Mati, I think you went silent. Are you talking to us or are you talking to the magical elf on the screen?
Effing hell, man. I can't believe it. I just wanted to remind everybody that if you are human and you are watching this, either on the recording or the live version, please go ahead and leave a comment. And don't leave yourself on mute while you're leaving the comment. So just prove that you're a human. Show your intelligence, that you are not a bot or what. If you are a bot, also welcome. We're happy to have bots on the show. I also want to say welcome to Tomer, the CEO of Addressable, and give you the disclaimer that this is not a shill factory. You are welcome to shill. However, we are not necessarily going along. There is zero payment happening here, and also that we have had guests who tried to sue us for asking the wrong questions to them in a way that displeased them. That your presence here signifies that you agree to the terms and that you're happy to keep this on the air no matter what happens.
Yes, that's right.
Tomer has no token. He's just selling a solution and he's selling his wonderful smile. So I don't think we'll have that problem.
I don't think so either. We had your associate was Niv as well. And no, we're pretty. Yeah, no, he went over the entire platform. It seems like a pretty cool solution. I'm my one reservation is like just the data farming, like kind of like, for me it's like, well, we just left Web 2 and now you're telling me that you're able to do this in Web 3 as well. I was not particularly happy about that.
Well, let's start with what we're doing. We're a targeted marketing platform for Web 3. And what you're suggesting or implying is that targeted marketing is something that we all know well in Web 2. And in Web 3, it's on one hand, very much needed for any business to grow, to just find the right customers for them. And on the other hand, as a user, you don't want to be seeing ads. As a user, you don't want to be communicated by businesses. So definitely what we can do in Web 3 that was not possible before in Web 2 is to make the communication relevant because of the amount of data in Web 3. What we see in Web 3 is that we can index everything, what everybody's buying everywhere. That's very unique. This amount of data that says, hey, this is any transaction. This is the database that we have of every transaction that happened since the beginning of history on multiple blockchains by all the users. Each and every user has a profile, and you see what they did over time since the beginning of history, the history of blockchain, of course. And what you can see in this way is a data set that is the size of Google's data set if blockchain is the entire world. Of course, blockchain is small. There's still like 200 million people and not 4 billion people online, but it's growing. And the next question is, okay, so if we know what everybody's buying all the time and everywhere, how can we make it more private than Web 2, preserving people's privacy? And how can we make it more targetable and more accurate than Web 2, so that you see things that you like, things that are relevant for you in terms of advertisements and in terms of offerings and in terms of communication by businesses that you've never heard of. And from the business side, how do you make the cost of acquiring new users lower? Because you just address the right people instead of addressing a large amount of audiences to get to the right people. And what happened over the years in Web 2 is the removal of a lot of data layers for privacy. And it caused the opposite It goes the opposite. As users, we get a lot of irrelevant things. In iOS, the businesses cannot know anything about you. And in iOS, you just receive advertisements of everything and anything, because there's no way to correlate very well what you see. And the reason it was disturbing in Web 2 is that in order to target us, the businesses had to collect our emails and sync the emails in the back end between large businesses and all the ad tech companies. And the email usually was the key ID of all the users, sometimes even with their name, with their address, with their phone number. Everything was there. In Web 3, we have a new world of anonymized wallet IDs. You don't know who's the wallet. You don't know exactly where they're from. You just know what they buy. But it's an anonymized wallet, and that's enough for targeted advertising. That's enough for well-crafted communication, personalized by the user without knowing their name, without knowing their email, without knowing their telephone number or address. And this is fantastic. Web3 is actually offering a new privacy framework that enables users to pay and enables businesses to get the right payers without knowing their personal details. What Addressable does here, we add the missing layer, the communication layer, and we make those wallets addressable by the business without knowing their name, without knowing their phone number or email, anything. And that's the beauty of Web3. This is why we think that the Web3 industry can grow dramatically with Addressable, because there is no communication layer for wallets. You cannot communicate with wallets without us. In mass communication, there are some peer-to-peer communication systems like XMTP and some DND Bank and others, but you don't have mass communication systems for groups of millions of wallets or hundreds of thousands of wallets that work well, targeted, without revealing users' privacy or revealing users' identity.
Yeah, I hear the distinction between, not having personally identifiable information. I think, being able to target users is important, but what Web3 adds, and it's a bit hard because some people are doxxed on their Twitter, and you're obviously connecting their Twitter to their wallet. So there are nuances here, but the idea that you can have like a persona, an online persona, without revealing who you are in the real world and having sort of a disconnect. And I think Asaf, your partner, tweeted about credentials, something like he nearly got hacked by someone that tried to approach him with an offer to be to go on a podcast or to employment offer or whatever. And I replied there about like credentials, how important it is, and like the online credentials and reputation scoring, and there's a lot of efforts being done to improve that. Is super important because we want to be able to sort of zero knowledge credential. Like we want to be able to verify that you're a good person, that you're a legit person, verify what sort of marketing cohort bucket you fall into, being able to target you without knowing your name, address, email, phone number, all that kind of stuff. And that's, I think, the Web3 vision. So I'm not as personally. I'm like everyone's harvesting our data, so it might be a bit naive to say, but like it's not as much of a concern for me. But I appreciate you answering that question. I think we got sidetracked. We haven't even discussed the fact that there were two 10K candles on Bitcoin side by side. The twin towers, red and green twin towers. Mati, what's your take on that? Give us a little. Clear our heads a little bit, make some sense of what's going on here for us.
Yeah, I have no idea, man. That was a weird one. As far as I understood, and I mean, Samson Mao has been out there talking about this God candle, which is by the new definition, a candle which is $10,000. And I think that this was actually the first time this ever happened. It's this green candlestick over here. And then, as you mentioned, the other one, well, this one is almost 10K. I mean, it's just close enough to say it is. So that's two God candles in a row. Now, I don't like the term personally. I think it's a bit blasphemous. As a man of faith, I think like we could probably come up with a better name for it. than violating. I think it's the second commandment. But yeah, the first one I can speak to, because like I was out there on leverage, the high leverage, going, okay, we're ready to go here. It was a long time coming. The entire market was waiting for it. This entire dip, people were like, okay. I think that a large part of this dip was people just on the side going, okay, I want a better price. I want a better price. I want a better price. And then when there was a breakout, everybody's like, okay, this is it. And the whole market just kind of went together. And there was a retracement. Like I managed to take profits at the end of the day. I'm like, okay, I'm out. I made some good money here. But the next day threw me for a loop, because we thought, okay, there's going to be a retracement. I mean, it's pretty clear that there was going to be a retracement. And somewhere around here, you're like, okay, bull market back on again. Let's get back in this thing. And then no, the whole thing just like tanked and grabbed everybody's stop losses. And I think that, and we've been talking about on the quantum spaces, maybe there's some kind of market manipulators out there. Names have been thrown out like BlackRock, Larry Fink, and certainly the Trump children, are highly suspect. It really was connected to the tariff tweet. Like it seemed like the timing at least was lined up very well. And, in general, like we've seen that when Trump tweets about tariffs or talks about tariffs, it does have an impact on crypto markets. So you could say that there's something to do with that, but it just doesn't. It feels like there are some very large players in the market who are trying to suppress price in order to, take advantage of getting cheaper corn. However, I mean, it's just like I've never been a believer in market manipulation, especially on an asset as big as Bitcoin with the volumes that Bitcoin has. I think that, whales can play around for a little bit, but there's this concept in economics called the invisible hand. And the invisible hand always makes sure that true market prices are found eventually. So you can play around for a little bit, you can manipulate the price for a while, but at some point, the dynamics of the market are going to come in and, screw over the, the perpetrators, if there are any, and whoever they may be. So, yeah, I feel like the price is low right now. What we're experiencing now, like as far as, this chart over here, it does have the feeling of kind of finding a bottom, right? That's searching new territory here, searching new territory here, and then evening out at, around 85. Seems to me like, okay, we get a breakout today, knock out that latest high of 95, and then, we're off to the races. On the other hand, if they have their way and, people really want it cheaper, yeah, it could go the other way as well. So, got to stay on your toes. Stay on your toes.
Long story short, it could go up, it could go down, it could go sideways. Tomir,
it always goes sideways. It always goes to the right. That there's no left ever.
Yeah, there's no going back. Tomir, what are your thoughts about? Look, I think Trump is kind of baffling me, but I'm probably not alone. Like, obviously his kind of mandate is a deal maker, and obviously economic concerns are top of his mind, and nevertheless he seems to just be doing stuff that wrecks the market. Like, the tariffs are obviously not popular with any investors, and they're spooking the markets. Markets need some sort of consistency, predictability, to know. And it's hard for me to talk even semi-negative about Trump, because as an Israeli, he's doing wonders for us, and as crypto as well. Like, we've got the Friday meetup, the crypto council meetup at the White House. But nevertheless, I feel like there's an element of unpredictability that Trump is bringing to the market that is not positive right now. Mati, what do you think about that? Like, as a Republican representative in Israel.
Did you guys catch the speech last night? I stayed up late to watch that speech. That was a beautiful speech. I think one of the greatest speeches in American history. Trump addressed Congress, both sides of Congress, and he just basically laid out the the yuckiness that was happening within the government before he arrived, and how he was really cleaning it up. And it seems like he's making a lot of progress very quickly. And I think every true patriot and American citizen who cares, and who cares and understands how to analyze facts on the ground, I think are really in agreement here. I don't really hear many convincing arguments from the left why Trump is evil anymore, and especially now given the data. And you say that people hate tariffs. I don't think so. I love it. Actually, I think it's actually really good. I think that what he's doing is fixing the economy. And as any patient of a serious illness will tell you, like, the doctor's going to give you medicine. The medicine's going to hurt you in the beginning, right? And it's going to feel like you're going to feel yucky about it. But at the end of the day, you get cured of the disease. It's all worthwhile. So I think that's what's happening right now. There's this cleanup period, and the cleanup is painful. And I've heard too many people go, oh, and I suggest, like, I literally was on a podcast a week or two ago, and I said, okay, look, one thing that's missing, why we're not like going to the moon right now, is because the Fed's not printing. It's okay, let's get the Fed to print. Like, what do you think it's going to need to happen? Like, no, that's not the solution for long-term sustainable growth. That's a solution to see inflation, and that's the solution to, like, be back in the situation where we have a bubble and a crash. That's not good for anybody. What we need is sustainable economic growth, and I believe that what's happening right now is basically like, okay, so Trump slashing taxes and replacing it with something that's going to encourage people to manufacture locally, and going to basically clean out the U.S. economy and stop this kind of this nonsense of offloading your production to countries who are going to abuse that power, deploy slave labor in order to get the cheapest prices. And Trump's got a lot of great points about how people have been taking advantage of the United States for a long time in trade, and it's a good thing that's going to be stopped. It's going to be good for the whole world, and the entire economy, the entire global economy, is going to see the knock-on effects of that. And I think that if every country deploys similar tactics, similar strategies, they're going to do well too. And that's how we get a whole global economy that's going to do great. Does that mean short-term volatility in the markets? Yes, and that's something that we can deal with. And as a trader, I have no problem with short-term volatility. It's great because you can make more money on a market that's moving faster than you can on a market that's static. But eventually, that volatility ebbs out. And he did say it. He said in his speech, he said that bear with us. There's some short-term pain that's coming. You gotta have some patience here. You gotta have some, like, you have to be able to see beyond the edge of your nose, which most people have trouble with, I know. But yeah, if you look beyond that, I believe that we're on a path to sustainable economic growth and markets that go up for a long time, not drastically, hilariously, and reasonable gains over time.
Don't you think that tariffs are a lose-lose situation? In a global trade war, with the closest allies, trade allies of the United States, don't you think that those tariffs create exactly what you spoke about earlier? The economy cannot work at its best. The free economy generates excellence wherever someone knows how to manufacture something in the most efficient way. That someone will actually win the competition. In a free economy, the tariffs create those skews, right? That non-efficient manufacturers will enjoy the protection of the tariff.
Well, because not everybody's playing
a manufacture in a way that is what's more expensive and less efficient, right? And
no, because there are some countries that don't have slave labor laws. Mm-hmm. So basically, what the America is doing is saying, well, you can't use slave labor here, but if you send your business and manufacture in China, they have slave labor, so you could do it more cheaply there. It's not a fair playing field.
They're not putting like I hear. I was going to ask the same question as Tommy. Like, how do libertarian leaning free market?
It's exactly like the same thing as saying, okay, we have smog laws, okay, and I'm dealing with this in our mining company as well, okay. To say, okay, Oklahoma has these very strict.
Think only about Canada. Think only about Canada and Mexico.
Okay, no, but I'm even saying within the United States, if you go to Oklahoma or if you go to New Mexico, right, and you say, okay, you want to build a oil production there, you need to have regulation up the wazoo. Whereas if you go over the border, right, to the next state over, you don't have to have. Does the smog stay across the border? It doesn't. So what do people do? They go to the place where and they do the same exact activity that has the same economic impact, but one place has stricter laws and they're getting less business because of it. And that's exactly what's happening in the global economy. This globalization that you're talking about is not that, because living standards are just cheaper over there. It's part of it, but a bigger part of it is that they just don't have the same labor laws. So America is shooting itself in the foot by saying you can't hire slaves here, but if you go to China, you can hire slaves. Like, in what world does that make sense? So make the playing field level for everyone. The other part of to answer your question, and Trump did address this in his speech. He says most of the tariffs that we're imposing, they're actually they have tariffs that are even bigger against us. It's like India has 100% tariffs on our cars, so why should we not have tariffs back on them? And what he said is, as of April 2nd, I wanted to do it on April 1st. You have to watch this bit. I wanted to do it on April 1st, but I know that if I do something on April 1st, people are going to accuse me of not being serious. I'm a superstitious guy, so we're going to do it April 2nd, even though we're going to lose millions of dollars because of that on that one single day. But he said, look, every single country that has tariffs on us, we're going to put reciprocal tariffs on that. It's just leveling the playing field. It's not. We're not talking about a trade war that doesn't make any sense. We're talking about doing what's right and what's fair at the end of the day.
Yeah, but the tariffs for Canada and Mexico are reversing an agreement that was signed by the same administration 6 years ago of free trade. And the free trade in a global, in just the North American economy, you don't need to speak about global one. In the North American economy, free trade means that everything is manufactured where the efficiency is the highest, the quality is the highest, and the cost is the lowest, because they win the open competition. And this creates the most product per capita and per monetary value, and that reduces inflation, and that creates what free economy brings in. All those advantages are now being blocked by those tariffs, and the skews will be huge. The amount, 25%, will be reciprocated by Canada, like Trudeau has introduced just 3 days ago, and will be, in some cases, reciprocated by Mexico. And what you'll see is that everything is manufactured in a less efficient way because of tariffs in places that are less efficient, and of course there will be less product per capita, less product per monetary value, and the cost of money will jump, and the value of money will drop. What you'll see is high inflation, and for the same amount of people and the same amount of capital, you'll get less product in the entire North America trade zone, and that's the effect. It's no secret that what will happen by the books, and this, it's not very short term. You can say, oh, we sacrifice the short term for some long term effects. We want to stimulate the U.S. production sector.
You think that a factory in Texas is able to produce, or is going to be less efficient inherently than one in Canada? And why do you think that?
It depends on expertise. If you want everything to be produced by the experts, they might not be living inside the U.S.
I'm sorry?
The expertise of specific industries, or even the resources of specific industries, are abundant in specific areas. Let's say the right human power, the right manpower, the right natural resources.
I don't think you understand the dynamic that's happening right now.
Mm-hmm.
The expertise is in the United States,
Mm-hmm.
and the labor is in China. This is what's happening.
No, I'm
And so
talking about North America. I'm not talking about China.
okay,
Talking
well
about
then
Mexico and
Mexico and Canada,
Yeah.
fine. But there isn't like, you know, we're living in the world of the information superhighway. Like we're not talking about like some sort of information asymmetry that, you know, is on a monumental scale here. A factory that's in Texas can be just as efficient as a factory that's in Mexico or Canada. And you're somehow suggesting that it shouldn't be. And your answer is because Mexico has more experts than Texas?
No,
Maybe
because
it's not just
a specific field has been developed in a specific area because of the experts, the resources, the natural resources. You know, everything that exists there creates the excellence in that specific vertical, in that specific place. And then when you produce,
that's not what's happening now. I mean, America tends to have the expertise, and the expertise is on the U.S. side of the border for the most part. I mean, in almost every field. I don't think that there's like, you know, especially in technology, which is, you know, let's be straight here. This is the big one. Like you can manufacture cars in Mexico for cheaper because of the labor is cheaper. There's no experts in Mexico that are able to produce cars or be able to build these big gigafactories in Mexico because they're smarter or have more industry knowledge than the United States. That's not what's happening. You're simply ignoring the facts on the ground.
I think we have right now the whole addressable team is watching TV and they're
And
probably
hello to
tired
Finish
of
also, our web developer at QE.finance for watching. Good morning or
so
good.
it's not a bot.
No, Sinish is not a bot. He's a good friend.
Sinisha, hello to you, GM. But you know, I think tariffs. You know, we're going to agree to disagree on tariffs, and we're going to wait for the results. You know, I think it's we have to wait and see.
But the other thing is not just tariffs. I think that Doge, for example, Elon Musk coming in and slashing.
Doge is a PR stunt. I'm sorry. He's posting like we just saved $8 million on, you know, transgender puppet shows in Uganda. Like $8 million. That, you know, first of all, it's crazy that you're spending it on transgender puppet shows in Uganda. On the one hand, on the other hand, that's not even a speck of a hair on the foot of the U.S. deficit of $36 trillion. So, you know, you can stop. You need to stop about 5,000, you know, Ugandan puppet shows in order to make up the deficit of $36 trillion. So I don't think you know what Elon's doing is very admirable, but I don't think it's not a, you know, even $105 billion. That's not a drop in the bucket of 36 trillion.
But
and I don't think they'll get to that level.
Yeah, but that's in like what, like 25 days, 20 days. Like come on, that's $650 per taxpayer. First of all, that's just according to this tracker. There are several other trackers out there. Actually, no, I think that it did put that out. Yeah, look, $105 billion is not a little bit of a little amount of money by any stretch of the imagination. Even when you compare it to whatever you compare it to, it's still a lot of money. And they want to get to $2 trillion within 500 days. So yeah, these things do take time. But there's literally saving billions and billions of dollars on just cutting out waste, fraud, and abuse. And you're saying that doesn't matter? I mean, look at the way the government is run. And I've been saying this for fucking years. Like, people don't understand the levels of corruption that are happening. But even if you do understand the levels of corruption, understand the power dynamic. Understand the fact that a president of the United States is in power for 4 to 8 years, and they're able to borrow money for 50 years, which means that their direct incentive is to spend as much money as they freaking can, because that all looks good on them and they're able to do it. Add to the fact that now they're able to like spend that money and make sure that it comes back to them and their friends in some other way. Then you get to what's happening in the government now, and cutting out that waste. I mean, study Milton Friedman, for Christ's sake. It's not rocket science. When the government is spending less money, that immediately and instantly translates to more prosperity in the country. It's not I mean, trying to make light of this or call it a publicity stunt. You're way off base here. But you know what? Don't take my word for it. Talk to me in 500 days.
Let's talk in 500 days. I want to hear about it. I want to hear what
monumental. I think they're going to kill inflation without the help of the central bank. And I think that the GDP is going to see a remarkable uplift from just cutting out that waste, fraud, and abuse.
Marty's super bullish. I want to hear about Addressable. We had Asaf on the show a couple months ago. He showed us some basic workflows, how to target users, how to create, different segments and all that, well and good. What have you guys been up to since then? Any new updates you want to share? The more you show us, the better. We're visual learners over here at Yalla Bitcoin Breakfast Show. But obviously, if you just want to chat through the updates, that's also good. So yeah, what have you guys been up to? Let's give the team something to chow on.
Yeah. So to catch up with everything Asaf showed you last time, we're talking about what he showed you is our first product, is targeting wallet owners using ads. You build audience, everybody who trade on Uniswap for the past 2 weeks. Then you create from this audience, you create a campaign. You upload the audience into the ad network, either Twitter ads or Reddit ads or programmatic ads in all the top crypto and financial websites. And once you upload this audience, you're able to run the campaign, to run paid media in a very targeted way, just for those targeting those wallet owners in this ocean of traffic. And of course, finding the basic problem we're solving is that in crypto, you don't know who is in and who's not in crypto. And out of 4 billion people online, you have around 200 million that are actively trading on crypto, monthly active users. And it's very hard to find them. 200 million out of 4 billion people online. And within crypto, there are multiple verticals, payments and NFTs and games and RWAs and DePIN and developers and traders and within crypto, finding the different types of people that are relevant for your product is very hard. And this is why it's so important to use the Web3 data for your marketing to make it efficient. That's the first product we launched 2 years ago, and we added more and more features to that. The second thing is attribution, or the measurements, the actual way to find out who came into your website, who used your protocol, how much money was spent in your shop, whether it's a protocol or a Web2 website that uses crypto or just a payment solution. How much money did you receive from every marketing channel? And it does not just include paid ads. You can measure everything in PR. How much money did it create every article? In KOLs, how much traffic, how much conversions were received per this vertical, organic, social, Google searches, Google ads, and so on. So this measurement or attribution is the second product we've launched into our platform. And it makes a lot of sense to everybody who wants to measure money in the Web3 way, in the crypto way. You want to count for everything that you do as a marketer. You want to count how much did you spend, how much did it cost to do that. Sometimes it's labor, like creating organic social, and sometimes it's paid, like paying a KOL to tweet about something. But in all cases, you have money spent, and then you want to know ROI, how much money received, or how much attention received, depending on your goal. Do you want to build a community or do you want to sell something? And this attribution, the connection between the Web3 events how much was spent in your protocol, or how much was spent on your website, or payments that you received into your wallet per campaign, per channel. That's attribution in a Web3 way, and that's missing in any Web2 product that does attribution. For example, Google Analytics. You don't know how much money was received and how much exactly did you gain from each and every marketing channel, because the Web3 element is missing. So this is what we've created, this connection between the Web2 and the Web3 worlds, not just for targeting, but also for measurement. And if you think about it, we did create something that you send out, ad campaign, and then we create something that you can measure everything after the fact. And those two sides of the world are very important. You want to take as many actions as possible in a targeted way, and you want to measure as accurately as possible everything that you do. Now, when Addressable goes into 2025, we see that we have more and more demand to more actions and more measurements. The new actions are how to do other ways of engagement with the people that you want to reach their attention, how to create co-marketing, how to see who are the influencers or KOLs that your target audience is following on the one hand, and on the other hand, how to measure new followers, how to measure the performance of specific KOLs in your campaigns. And this is in very high demand by all of our clients. The last bit in the measurement is how to embed all the measurements in the user analytics into products. So how to take everything that we do as an API and get it into your product so that you can do things in a much deeper level. So we definitely work on these things. We'll release an API within a month. We release different types of KOL rankings that are already available in the product. But because we connect Web2 and Web3, it's very measurable, and a few other surprises that will come soon.
So I want to talk about the KOL specifically, because I understand attribution, on web, on Twitter, on obviously I don't know who's using like a lot of Google ads, but how do you guys think about the problem KOL attribution and KOL spend? Because from my experience in the space, people just throw money at the KOLs. Like, obviously you can track how much, you can search for your ticker and then see how many impressions those KOL posts got. But as we know, a lot of it is botted. A lot of it is cheap fake traffic that will never convert in any meaningful way to become token holders or users on your app. So how are you guys tracking and attributing KOL performance? I thought there's obviously a big movement now with Kaito, with Ethos Network, to kind of add a reputation level layer onto content creation and KOL marketing. I'm just curious as to your approach.
So KOLs are modern and more humanized publishers. You want them to produce content about you, because people listen to people more than they listen to news. Certainly in this era where social networks are most of what we do online. So people listen to people, and of course in crypto, because there's a lot of money, there are huge money elements into the attention economy. The KOL challenge is to find credible people, to find people that are actually moving the needle for your project, and also to find people that will be partners for a long time. I think that fake can, especially in crypto, fake promotions are easy to identify. And even though a person has 500,000 or 1 million followers, if it's a fake promotion, it will be hard to make it credible.
I had the same problem like way too many times, where the KOL goes, okay, here's my price tag, and you're like, look, the guy's got lots and lots of followers, and okay, $5,000 or $10,000 doesn't seem like a lot to get access to those people, and then you pay it, and like, you know, maybe half of it comes back to you, and if you're lucky.
Yeah, we have identified this challenge like everybody else, and not only this partnership with the KOL takes a lot of time to negotiate and to settle, and it is a partnership. In crypto, it is a partnership, unlike consumer products where you can have 500 different KOLs talk about your new lipstick, and it's credible. Each and every KOL in this field has their own followers, and they trust them. In crypto, it's more of a partnership for the long term. Who are the people that represent the brand and they represent this vision in the best way? And can we partner for a long time so that it becomes credible, consistent? And that's because in crypto, people are more suspecting scams, suspecting uneven distribution of tokens, suspecting different token manipulations. And this
That's
is why
rev share it works the best, because there's a difference when a KOL like is talking about something that he's paid for, and there's a difference that and when he's talking about something because he truly believes in it. And I think that users and especially degens, like we've already become accustomed to it. Like you recognize the difference without even thinking about it. Like we don't even like you can tell it like inside your subconscious, like if the guy is being genuine or if he's being paid. And you can always see, like when there is a paid promotion, there's gonna be the 5 top comments. I'd be like, stop shilling stuff, dude, and then when and that's why I feel like revenue share is the only solution that I found that actually works, is because if the KOL is willing to come to you on a rev share basis, it means that they actually really believe in your vision and believe in your product. And
but I don't like. I think rev share, like paying people with tokens, rev share, all of that. Like, how many projects in this space are actually making any money or have tokens that have any value? Like, you got to be, no tier 1 KOL is going to want to, get paid on probation. It's their work. They have an audience. They've built an audience. They're not going to take rev share on like a seed level project that may or may not make money.
We've been able to do it with equity, because with equity, it's not the same as tokens where you give out some tokens, that they're just going to sell it on the market as soon as they get them. The equity is private equity, and therefore, it's not as liquid, and that means that the KOL actually is bought into the long-term vision of the project.
So I deeply believe that what you're saying as the problem is the credibility and is it manipulated a promotion or not? That's the problem. About the solution, there are more solutions.
The problem is that here's the problem, and I'll boil it down for you. People who make great content are not always the same people who are great at analyzing things. That's it. Mm-hmm. That is the mismatch. If you want to boil it down, that's the mismatch that's happening. People who make amazing content that people really want to know, either they really want to watch, they get emotionally attached to this individual. But then you get people who shill you Terra Luna because they were just too lazy or too stupid to understand that it was a Ponzi scheme. Then you get like people who are great at analyzing things, like we do at Quantum Economics, but we're not as good at the content creation element where people have to come and run and watch our stuff. And therefore you get like, okay, we send it out to all of our newsletter readers 2 weeks in advance that this is a Ponzi scheme. And everybody who did read that was thankful, but why are there those people with millions of followers? It's because of this mismatch.
So I think it's a great point that the measurement, the data layer in the KOL world is missing, and what Addressable does is actually solving 2 problems here. One is how many followers with a wallet each and every KOL has, because we match the two worlds, the world of followers, the social world, and the wallet owners world, and we match them in very large numbers. And then you can actually analyze in a specific target audience, who are the people that this target audience, let's take the target audience of everybody who trade on Uniswap in the past 4 weeks for more than $10,000. So you take this target audience, you have a new DeFi platform. You want to ask, okay, who's trading on DeFi in a specific way or a specific liquidity pools? And you can ask this question, who are they following? And that is no bots. They traded with more than $10,000, so completely not fake trades. And you have a picture of who are the people that are actually followed by this very, very well-crafted audience. And that's the power of connecting wallets, the wallet world in crypto, to the social world. And the other part is, okay, once you get this picture of who's really being followed by the DeFi traders that trade more than $10,000 on Uniswap, then you ask yourself, okay, if I partner with 1 or 2 or 3 or 5, how do I know what's going on in the next year? Let's say we have a contract for a year. How do I know what's moving the needle? How do I know actually that the people that saw these tweets, that saw these promotions, have actually reacted to that? And this is also where Addressable comes in, where you can see all those wallets who have been exposed to each and every KOL, what they do over a year, what they buy and when, and you can follow that. And if there's a token involved there, you can follow that token ownership in this specific audience very, very accurately. And this attribution from a social audience or a social persona that has a lot of audience that is following, this attribution, bringing this group into a measurement system as wallets, seeing what these wallets buy, that's a completely new way of measuring impact of KOLs and measuring impact of KOLs on specific audiences. Because you don't even have to ask, since today's X is viral, you don't really see, most of the time in the For You tab, you see people you don't follow. So you can actually ask, instead of asking what their followers are doing and buying, you can ask, in my target audience, let's take this target audience and follow this target audience for a year, and let's see what's the impact on those days of the tweets of the KOLs we chose together. Do we see a movement in this target audience purchases? Do they purchase the token more? Is there a blip or no? And if yes, how large is it? And this type of measurement, that because we see what everybody's buying everywhere.
You can also see the holding period too, and say, okay, we want to target long-term holders rather than just maximize the buying pressure for a pump and dump. You can say, okay, this KOL is bringing us users that don't sell. That's something that would be extremely valuable.
Yeah. So we can also see the quality of followers. How long do they hold? And these questions are highly quantifiable with a system that can actually count big audiences and what they do together. And I think that the world of KOLs can be disrupted, or the world of measuring the KOL impact can be disrupted, where you can see money in and money out, right? You pay some money, when what you said, you don't know exactly how much money out you get and what's the ROI. And here we're presenting a new way of doing that.
I never really had that issue, to be honest. I mean, when you see a promotion going out, as long as you're not doing 10 KOLs at once, and also, like, I've been fortunate to be using platforms where people like leave comments on their investment or whatever, and like people actually say thank you to the KOL in their purchase comments, so that's extremely helpful as well. You know where it's got, where the traffic's coming from. Even just using Bitly links is more than enough for that. But yeah, I could see, you obviously, like, if you're utilizing 50 KOLs at once, maybe that's going to be a bit more difficult to track.
Yes, and also think about the fact that projects with sustainable business or a growing business spend marketing budgets on many channels, so organic and paid and PR and events and KOLs and so on, and all happens at once. It's never one channel. It's always on, and when it's always on, it's very hard to know what generated what income. The attribution problem becomes more and more sophisticated and more challenging the more channels you have in parallel. And the connection between blockchain world back to socials, back to advertising channels, back to PR channels, back to KOLs, actually creates in crypto for the first time what we saw in other worlds for many years. So in mobile, we saw that with all the mobile measurement platforms like AppsFlyer. But in crypto, it has never been implemented to the full extent. There are a few projects trying to do attribution in several ways, but really going all the way from the source. Let's say it's a KOL, a Google ad, PR article, organic tweet, and a banner, and whatnot, going from the source of the traffic and direct, going from that to what happens in your website, in your mobile app, in the top of funnel, going from that to what happens in your protocol on chain, in your wallet. These connections all along the way of the funnel are very hard to do, all the way down to the conversion event on chain. And when building this to the full extent, like we have in the past year, we see a lot of companies surprised. A lot of our clients are surprised. They didn't know what generated most of the revenues for them. They didn't know what was causing a waste of money. And this new visibility is refreshing. People start to actually take decisions based on data. Something we see in the Web 2 market for the past 15 years, we haven't seen in crypto marketing ever. We saw that only in the big exchanges where they use the Web 2 products, because big exchanges are essentially Web 2 products, because all the interfaces and all the purchases are not mediated by a wallet. So to summarize, I think that this data-driven approach and this user, Web3 user intelligence is actually creating a new way to work for all the marketers in the field that reminds them of their previous jobs in Web2 companies that were data savvy, full of products that help them measure, and full of data-driven decisions that they didn't meet when they moved into Web3.
Awesome. I think that's I learned a lot. I hope I get to work with Addressable soon for a client. I tested it out, and it's having granularity, having like attribution, it's very much missing from Web3 is a lot of like, maybe I'm doing it wrong, but I feel like a lot of organizations I've been in are doing similar stuff. So if I'm doing it wrong, there are a lot of other people doing it wrong, and it's a lot of spray and pray, whether it's on spaces or KOLs or we talked about event marketing. We haven't even got into like how can you attribute, something I'm thinking about a lot, going into, and this is a cool announcement that we'll have a party on the 26th of March in Tel Aviv around the Building Blocks ETLV week, sponsored by Starkware and DLT Law and New Hedge. And I'm thinking like, how can we add value to these sponsors coming to the meetup? How can we get people to, engage with them, to sign up for whatever it is, and there's all different marketing channels, and the attribution's pretty broken on each one. So thank you to Tomer for fixing that problem, and we will see, hopefully more updates, more news from Addressable. Especially with the whole infofi takeover right now. That's a very trendy, niche. With Kaito, Ethos Network, a lot of infofi, socialfi, and Addressable taking it to the next level with B2B tech. So it's really cool. Thank you to Mati as well for giving us a rundown on tariffs and what Trump, giving us a little insight into Trump's mind. And thank you to everyone at home for watching. Thank Ionan, what's up? How are you? And we will see you next week. Next week we have Ilan Hazan, the CEO of Decrypt, and Myron Markets. I actually went to gamble there right now. I put a bet on other, right? There's 20% chance of other winning the NBA, other being anyone but the Boston Celtics or the Oklahoma City Thunder. I think LeBron James and Luka will take the trip this year. So I put a bet there. Really cool prediction market. So stay tuned for next week. And Tomer, we'll see you around. Hopefully we'll see you at our party on the 26th. If not, there's building blocks and all those events around that week. So we'll definitely be running into each other. Thank you, guys.
Yeah,
have a wonderful day.
Thank you very much.
To meet you, man.
Wonderful to see you guys. See you soon.